I loved this house we walked through today. Is it going to be the exact same? I mean, can I get it just like that?
Well, that's what we're talking about today.
Welcome to the Utah Real Estate Show podcast, the show where two agents and a lender teach real estate best practices by talking through mistakes we've seen and made.
Where you're not trying to be rude, but you're...
Yeah, so we're trying to avoid confusion. This happened on a transaction that we literally got under contract yesterday. And there was some confusion about what was included and what wasn't. And when it finally came down to it, there was a disagreement from the buyer and seller what was included and what wasn't. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Utah Real Estate Show. I'm Tyler Kazare, Utah Real Estate Agent.
Jason Christiansen, Mortgage Lender.
Aric Wist, Utah Real Estate Agent.
And before we do anything else in our episode today, we have to make an announcement. And this is really cool.
In a couple weeks, we're going to do the Hot Wings Challenge. We were challenged, so we're bringing Joel back. And we're eating hot wings while we talk about
progressively hotter ones, and it's going to be interesting. So go brush up on those videos and subscribe. Make sure you follow this one so you can see when it comes out. It's going to be it's going to be interesting. I've seen these guys eat hot wings, and
are you trying to say that I'm not? Who? You need to make your vote on who's going to bail out on the hot sauce.
Oh, that'll be interesting. See who cries
it
first.
Ain't going to be me.
Well, it's the guy with the scarf,
baby face down here
Done.
At the end. Okay. All right. So while you're weighing in on who's going to wuss out, which is Aric, on the hot wings, we're going to talk about something else.
Yeah. So I took some clients out. We showed them a home. Okay. We went to an open house on a Tuesday. Okay. Mm-hmm. Amazing home, perfectly set up. The kitchen was great. Had one of those like $5,000 fridges that had like a TV in it.
I like those.
Mm-hmm. The husband loved the garage. It was a 4-car garage, had a deep freezer in there, had a garage refrigerator in there, had a TV set up.
Stuff.
Yeah, all great home. Okay, so the whole had smart thermostats, electronic deadbolts on the house. Just a really good home. We went back, reviewed the home with my clients afterwards, and they took a day to think about it because it was up at the top of their budget. And we wrote an offer on Friday. Okay, so saw the open house on Tuesday, thought about it Wednesday, Thursday, submitted the offer on Friday.
With a response time of?
Over the weekend. We got that contract accepted within our timeline on Monday. On Monday.
Perfect. Yep. So when does that contract become binding? Walk through on Tuesday, offer Friday, accepted Monday.
I'd say when we viewed the place, right?
Right, that's how it was shown.
Well, and this comes to a head because this is in our section that we're talking about tonight. The verbiage in the contract is the time of acceptance. And that will become very important
so
if something is changed between the time you saw the property on Tuesday, the offer was made on Friday, and then let's say that they pack up everything, they haven't got any offers, They pack up everything and leave with that $5,000 fridge. And by the time they accept the offer on Monday, all they have in there is the $200 Frigidaire.
Garage fridge.
The garage fridge that's in there.
Yeah. And that fridge is an inclusion.
Yeah. So what's included? Is it the $5,000 fridge? No, it is not.
The refrigerator in the garage.
Well, and then that's a good point because did the buyers... was that wrong? Or sorry, was the sellers wrong in doing that?
So
were they at fault? Were they misleading?
It depends because really, you went through on Tuesday. You didn't write an offer until Friday. Maybe they gave up hope and they said, you know what? We thought the fridge and the Nest thermostat and the Ring doorbell and the whatever would make a difference, but apparently it doesn't. And that stuff's expensive, and we can't even get this fridge because some back order from China for 4 months. Yeah. So let's take it with us.
Maybe they do a price reduction. And all of these things, they argue that the price reduction is what brought in the buyer, not these amenities. And so they're like, no, we're gonna ditch these amenities. And so even if you saw the listing on Tuesday, right, and all these things are included in the listing, they can change that listing.
Or
they can even change the listing after you present your offer.
Yeah, well, and that comes back to right there of what's in the actual contract, 12.1, right? Yeah. Well, not even 12.1, just 12, the heading of it. It says seller agrees that except as provided in sections 12.5, which we'll get to that in a minute, from the date of acceptance until the date of closing, the following additional items apply.
So that term between acceptance and closing, that's the time that this contract governs. And that's when it is binding, right? That's when the contract is binding. So I want to bring up another story actually before we get too deep into this. Aric, you've got another story.
Well, yeah, so right before this section, in section 11, you have a final inspection walkthrough.
Yes, which is actually what we're talking about. But this is staging it. So you wrote the offer on Tuesday. You think everything's going to be in there. They accepted it on Monday. There's changes made. You've got it in your head that it's one way.
And then say you waive the due diligence and you don't go do anything because the house was perfect.
Yeah.
It was built 2 years ago. Beautiful. Okay. So you waive your due diligence so you can get the offer accepted. So that means you don't really have a right to go back into the home. The sellers can decline it. So the next time you're in that home and you did a fast close, say a week, 2 weeks. Okay. So you're like, nothing's going to be a big deal. These people seem great. You go and walk to the home the night before you sign papers, which we always
recommend this. Do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's a great example of why. I have a friend agent who this exact same thing occurred to. They went through the final inspection. There wasn't a fridge in the kitchen. There was a fridge in the garage. And the REPC just states refrigerator included. They didn't specify which refrigerator. He didn't even think about doing that. And the sellers went, well, he just says fridge. Let's take this one. Gone. Okay. So that was a bad on his part. I've had one personally where we go through the final inspection and there's a hole in the wall this big.
So here's the debate, right? So there was a China.
It was a China hutch
right in front of the hole. So I'm pretty
where Bob
pretty
slammed
rigid.
his head into the sheetrock and put a big hole there. We're calling this Bob's hole.
Well, I like to think of it, this was also the same home where the very expensive curtains in the 10-foot ceilings were not there anymore. And they have to stay.
Unless listed on section 1.3, they're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're included.
So this more of the story makes me lean more to your way because it seems like there was covering up. But I say, by the due diligence, you should have done an inspection and said, are there any holes behind the furniture or behind the pictures? Is there anything we can't see? Or please pull everything away from the wall so our home inspector can rip your home to shreds. So where are we at? The hole in the wall. The curtains are gone.
Yes.
The fridge is gone.
Yep.
What do you do?
Well, those were 3 different situations because the fridge, they lost the fridge. Okay,
Because per the contract, it said refrigerator.
it was
There was a
written
refrigerator
correctly.
there. Yeah.
The buyers were not happy with the agent because that was the agent's job to understand how this contract is written.
Get a good agent.
Exactly.
Yes.
To understand how it's written and what is actually included and what's not included and how to specify correctly.
Right.
And the sellers stood their ground. They said, no, we've complied. You have no grounds. And
We have huge questions of legal and ethical. And you can be completely legal while being completely unethical.
This is true.
So if you crap, what are we going to do about that big hole in the wall? I don't want to repair it. I don't want to pay to repair it. Let's put the China hutch in front of it. Done. Solved. And then we say, no, upon acceptance of the contract, the hole was there. It was here when you walked through.
Yeah.
It's been there. We're not repairing it.
So
And
what
then
came,
totally legal.
What came of that story? How did that story resolve?
What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah.
Because this is an interesting one, and we're not really we're gonna answer this in the comments later. We want to hear what you guys think on how that plays out. Okay.
Who repairs the hole? Whose cost is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, is that the buyer's cost? Is that the seller's cost?
Now I will go and say on the very expensive curtains that were in the house, we did the walkthrough, called the agent, said, "Hey, these aren't here. They're supposed to be." Well, my sellers wanted them. I said, that's great. So did my buyers.
Yeah.
Okay, these are beautiful 10-foot ceilings with amazing curtains. So they said, well, what would it take? I said, well, go price them out. And they had my clients price them out, actually, which was amazing because they went to the most expensive website they could find that matched it accordingly and said this is what similar, and they provided pictures and we matched them on, the sellers paid, it was above $2,000.
Wow, to replace all the window curtains.
All the window curtains.
Well, and then the thing is like,
And they did it. They did because they were bound by contract.
right.
Right.
And legal or ethical, like just to make it right, just put it in there.
Yeah.
If you walk through and you love the fridge and you love the thermostat and something, just make sure like this includes the Samsung fridge with the touch screen.
Touch screen. Yeah.
Well, and Tyler, you like this because what's that wording that you say? The reason that you do that is where you're not trying to be rude, but you're...
Yeah, so we're trying to avoid confusion. This happened on a transaction that we literally got under contract yesterday, and there was some confusion about what was included and what wasn't. And when it finally came down to it, there was a disagreement from the buyer and seller what was included and what wasn't. So in my communication with the agent, I went back and forth with him. I said, look, we want to avoid confusion. We don't want your sellers to be offended, but I also don't want my buyer to be confused about what is actually included. So for the sake of everyone here, let's be explicit about what is being included.
This was 2 fridges, right?
Yeah, there were 2 fridges, one in the garage and one downstairs. And in our case, like it was explicitly included, the one in the garage. And
this was from the listing.
Yeah,
this was going on.
Yeah, this is in here.
And this was on a separate bill of sale. This wasn't in the contract.
Yes.
Not in an addendum.
Yeah, we have a video on that. Go back and watch it. It's a very good thing to watch. Anyway, so this highlights the reason we have Section 11 of the real estate purchase contract, which is do a final walkthrough. So let me put this question up there. When do you do the final walkthrough? Do you do it the day of settlement?
This is debatable. Because, like, you've got 7 calendar days, right? And if you think something might change, you might want to do it sooner than the day before you have to move.
Well, have communication with the sellers. Just if they're already out of the house, great. Go over and look.
Yeah, go take a look.
Hey, go find out. Explain to them. Like I said, just like what Tyler says. So there's no confusion.
The stated objective of Section 11 is to go through and verify that the house is in substantially similar condition as
represented.
As
is what the contract says.
And so that's where that hole comes in.
The hole behind the china.
Were they representing the house?
You let us know.
Comment down below and tell us if that was representative or not. Right, but the whole point is you want to verify. Now, there's things can happen. What if they move out early and a freak rainstorm happens, like what happened to another client?
It floods the basement.
Floods the basement. Whose fault is that? Yeah, so don't add a chimney. Don't build
rip out a wall. Don't add bedrooms.
Don't change
your
doors.
appliances.
Change the property. Okay? And the final walkthrough is to make sure that the property has not been modified.
But there is one thing that can change up until a point. So if there's like upon acceptance, all the appliances, all the everything, that should change. The walls should change, the doors, right? Long-term bookings, that needs to stay the same. You know who's there. You're not going to, hopefully you're not
there's
kicking
a renter
someone
in
out.
the basement. Don't kick them out. Their rental tenancy agreement supersedes the sale transaction.
But short-term bookings can actually be accepted up until the due diligence deadline. But then work out who's going to pay who for the what. Because it really sucked to have some family staying in your basement on a Verbo and the money going to the sellers. So, what did we learn?
Well, my key takeaway is that you need to make sure, if at all possible, to do a final pre-settlement inspection of the property.
It's important to remember, to avoid confusion, list everything out. If there's something you care about or you're particular to, write it down in the contract.
Seller or buyer.
Yeah, either way.
Well, remember, this contract is not binding until it's actually accepted, not when you viewed the property or even when you wrote it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Is this the fridge I got?
No, this is the fridge you got.
Make sure you do your final walkthroughs.
If you want to get in touch with us, shoot us a text at 801-228-7687. Make sure you mention the show. You can email us at theutahrealestateshow@gmail.com. You can watch this show on YouTube, and you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you learned something, or if you really love this show, give us a like on YouTube and drop a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. The Utah Real Estate Show is a production of Hive Collective at Presidio Real Estate, with support from Security Home Mortgage. The NMLS number for Security Home Mortgage is 178787. The NMLS number for Jason Christiansen is 240472, Equal Housing Lender. Not only is this not legal or investment advice, but you should definitely talk to a pro before you make any real estate decision. Every situation is different and should be considered in context. Copyright Jason Christiansen, Aric Wist, and Tyler Kazare. All rights reserved. Talk to you next week.
Okay, this entire time we've been videoing, he's made 11 words. So
You text like my grandma.
you even got the tongue going in there.
I'm Tyler Kazare, Utah real estate agent.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Oh my god.
What was wrong with that? That was good.
perfect.
You did not on purpose.
Now you have insubordination.
Knucklehead. Issues with the house.
Because the elders quorum helped move out. And there's probably a few holes in the wall.
Yeah.
Okay. The stated objection of the objective, sorry. The stated objective.
Oh my gosh.
What?
You're in the wrong section.
No. Oh, that's why I kept getting mixed up on that. I kept turning the page over and I was like, that's the wrong number. I'm not. Okay, you're good.
You nut doodle?
That's why I clapped.
Wait, no, knucklehead. That's what you always call me. Knucklehead. Knucklehead.
Okay,
I actually teach a class on this.
back on it. Knuckleheads.
Knuckleheads? Nice. Wait, who's talking?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Let's just
We're
end
good.
it.
So what did we learn?
Well, you need. Okay. Do it again.